All right, and while we are waiting, make sure you have access to your CEDS account because you will want to be able to run some of the reports we're going to talk about today in Align. And if you need help resetting a password or getting access to your account, drop your name and email into the chat, and Dylan can help get you set up. So get started. Give it another minute. Glad you all are here. Okay, well, Dylan, if you'll just let if anyone else wants to join us today, just let them in, and I'll go ahead and get started. It's 1 o'clock, I'm in Virginia, so I'm ready to jump in. Thank you all for joining us today. This is our Align 201, which we've never done before, so excited to show you all some of the reports we have inside Align that maybe you haven't taken advantage of, and we're hoping that it will save you all a lot of time. So the saying goes, work smarter, not harder, and hoping that the reports we show you today will help you with that. So if you just joined us, it's important to make sure you have your login to your CEDS account available. And if you need help, drop your name and email in the chat, and Dylan can get you set up. And this is meant to be a webinar to help you all. So please feel free to stop me, interrupt me, come off mute, drop in the chat, do like a thumb down if I'm going too fast. I was once learning the Align tool myself, and sometimes you can get turned around. And sometimes I tend to talk too fast during a webinar. So please, please stop me. This is an informal setting, and we're here to show you and help you all. So on our agenda today is just, we're going to start with an element-based report. I'm going to walk you through what you can learn from an element-based report. And then the second portion is just going to be talking about your Align map. So this is when you'll want to make sure you have an Align map ready to use. And we're going to walk through 4 different reports that you can run. So, okay. And with me today, I'm sorry, told Dylan I would introduce him. This is Dylan. He is a business analyst and works on CEDS, and I'm Jackie Hughes. I'm a business analyst with CEDS too. So again, thrilled you guys are here, and I'll go ahead and jump into the reports. Dylan will drop some links in the chat if you need them. And again, please come off mute, drop in the chat, tell me to slow down, repeat steps, whatever you need. So pull up CEDS here. So I'm going to start with the element-based report. And you can see here I'm on our homepage. And you don't have to be logged in. If you want to do this while I'm doing it, feel free. Otherwise, you can just watch me. But I will kind of walk you through the steps if you're not familiar. So you're going to go to the tools. You're on our CEDS homepage. And select Align. And build, this is where you can access, your maps, but under use is where we're going to focus at the beginning. And we're going to go down to the second one that's called Explore Element-Based Reports. So here you see on the screen, you can select one or more CEDS elements. Before I jump into this report, kind of some high notes of why you might want to use this report. And it allows users to look and see how others might define something. So if your state, maybe there's an element in your state's oh, we don't have a definition for that yet, or we're thinking about starting to report around this topic. Let's jump in here and see what element CEDS already has and what states are already mapping to it. Why reinvent the wheel if you can use a definition inside CEDS, or see how other states are reporting on it. So it looked like I tried to do a little research before. And it looks like most of you come from the K-12 area. So I was going to select K-12. These are all of our different domains inside CEDS, and you can expand the K-12 there. And I'm going to jump into K-12 student. And if you scroll down, I was going to focus on discipline. So I'm going to open up the discipline folder and select discipline reason. And go ahead and hit the next button. Did not prepare for it. The Align tool didn't work while I'm doing my webinar. So I will try that again. We will see what we can do here. I apologize for the technical difficulties. Okay. Here we go, fingers crossed. All right, so I'm going to jump back in Align, element-based reports, K-12, K-12 student, down to discipline, and discipline reason. So before I run this report that will hopefully work this time, you can, if you're just playing around, you're going, oh, I think it's discipline reason I want, or we also have an element called like incident reason. And you might get confused. You can quickly click and it will pull up the element and the definition, and you don't lose your screen. So you might go, okay, yeah, this is the one I want, because it has the option set that I'm looking for. I want to compare and see what other states have. So just so you know, you can click on any of these elements and it's not going to, restart your search. All right, let's give this another try here. Oh, good. Okay, so the element we picked was discipline reason. All this is doing is showing us the path, we took to get there. K-12 student, discipline reason. So we call this the impact analysis. You can click here to expand. And what this is going to do is it shows you the map name and the state. So I'm trying not to scroll too much as you guys look at my screen, but this kind of gives you a really great look into what states, like who is mapped to this element called discipline reason. So here we have Arkansas, California, Connecticut, Kansas, and you'll notice, I don't know if Kansas is on this call, but you'll notice that Kansas has a lot of different element names, but they're all mapped. Like if I grab substance type, and again, this is all mapped to discipline reason. They have their definition here. It mentions incident. And you can scroll down here and see how they've mapped it to discipline reason. So they said it's related at a concept level with differences in intent, and there's no option. So Kansas has a long list, so I'm going to scroll so that I'm not showing you all too much. But there you can see Nebraska and Nevada, and you can click on any of these because these states have all publicly shared their maps and see what they call the element and how they define it and the different elements they've mapped to within CEDS. And then down here is where you can see another state's option set. So this just kind of paints the picture of, this is just one example of out of our 2,000 elements we have in CEDS that shows you that there's a total number of 19 maps that are publicly shared and mapped to discipline reason. And so I mentioned that like if your state is looking to come up with a new definition or determine a new data element, or you're just curious what other states have aligned to certain elements inside CEDS or their option sets, this is a great report to run. I've also, I use this a lot as a business analyst for CEDS because we receive a lot of inquiries about, how many people are mapping to discipline reason or, active military. And we can quickly run this element impact analysis report and be able to provide that information. It's also important if you're familiar with our open source community. It's a great place to go, okay, maybe I'm Mississippi and I'm thinking about using discipline reason, but there's more options inside that Mississippi has than CEDS has. You can run this report and go, oh, look, Kansas has group and violence type, and that's what Mississippi has. So they can jump into the open source community, which I'll get into in just a little bit, and proposed to add more options to discipline reason. And they already know they can connect with Kansas, and Kansas would support that option because they also have it. So questions or comments there? Curious, has any, you can just raise your hand or drop in the chat. Has anyone used or familiar with the element-based reports before? Pull the chat up here too. Okay. All right. Well, we will go ahead and jump. I want to make sure everyone, Charlotte's getting logged in, looks like. All right, I'm going to do one more then of these element impact analysis. And I just want to show you all too, if you're ever playing around or running these reports, you don't have to go back up to tools and go through all the steps you had to. You can quickly click start over and it takes you back to the screen you'd like. So I'll just do one more. I'll jump on into K-12, K-12 student, and let's do enrollment. And kindergarten program participation type is an element we have inside CEDS, and I'll pull it up so you can see. So the kindergarten program, right? Some states still have full day, part day kindergarten, or extended day kindergarten. So I selected this element. I'm going to hit next. And then the same thing. So I'll drop it down and quickly you can see there's 11 maps. Arkansas, Nebraska, there's some EdFi alignment there in eScholar, and then Oklahoma and Washington. So if you can click into Washington's, you can see how they map to this. Their element name was full day kindergarten status type ID. And here's our CEDS element. No element definition available in the stakeholder data dictionary. So they don't actually have a definition to align to. They have a status. So questions on this? Oh, thanks, June. Sorry, I missed your comment. You've looked at it, but haven't used it yet. Okay. All right. Well, then we will jump on over to align. Dylan, if you haven't already, if you'll drop the link to, oh, you did, CEDS. I want to make sure everyone's logged in before we do the hands-on part where you all get to run some of these reports. So I'll pause for a minute. I'm going to pull up a poll while everyone's getting logged in. Okay, hopefully, Dylan, you can give me a thumb up if you can see the poll. It says I've launched it. So which Align reports have you used before? And I can move my screen too so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. But there's elements with unfinished alignments, user-defined elements, the validate consistency report, map data formatted for upload, or none of the reports, and you're looking forward to learning. So if you don't mind sharing your experience there, that'd be great. Okay, elements with unfinished alignment. None of the reports looking, okay, that's 75% of you. Thanks to those who participated. Okay. All right, thank you all. All right, and Dylan, good to go here? I was trying to look at the chat, but I don't want to leave anyone behind, but are we good?
Yep, we're good to go.
Okay, great, thanks. Okay, so let's dive into reports. So if you are, I'll go back one step. If you're on our homepage and you go to tools and select align, we're now going to focus on the left-hand side here, which is build. So I'm going to go into my manage maps. I have 3 maps on this account, and today I'm going to do the K-12 sample map. So go ahead and select a map that you have access to. All right, and before we jump into the reports, I want to call out one thing. If you look down at the bottom of whatever map you've selected, you can see access. So Dylan has access to this. I've created a few accounts in CEDS, and Nancy Copa has access. There's a chance that if you're looking at one of your state's maps, there might be a lot of people listed and their roles might be different. So I'm going to jump over here just to show you all this little graph we have. There's different roles people can have in our map, if you didn't know. And so if you're an administrator, you have the power to do it all with your map. If you're an authorized user, you can add and modify elements, but you can also view the reports. If you're a restricted user, you can view the report, but you're not going to be able to jump in and fix any elements, or maybe you missed aligning some elements. You won't be able to do that. You can run all the reports that we're going to talk about today. So just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. In the event you might be looking at a map and you're a restricted user, you might not be able to do all the things, but we can still show them to you today. Okay, so I'm going to go back to managing my maps. And if you're on this page of your maps, you're going to go down to the left-hand side using the map and select View Reports. Okay, and it's our 201, so we're not focusing on the purple. We're going down to the second level here to talk about all these gray rectangles, the gray boxes of reports. So we have elements with unfinished alignment, user-defined, validate consistency, and map data formatted for upload that we're going to focus on today. So the first one I want you to select is the first one here in the second row, elements with unfinished alignment. So go ahead and click that. I might bring you to this page. You'll want to hit next. Okay. You might need to open up your map. Yours might have automatically displayed, but there's mine. Okay, so this is coming from the standpoint of you're doing an alignment and maybe you got sidetracked and had to jump onto other meetings. So you left your align map alone and you want to go back and jump into it and say, okay, where did I leave off? Or maybe this happens to me all the time. Like I finally finished an align map because align maps can be very lengthy. I'm like, oh, I'm done. The first report I run is always this, elements with unfinished alignment. And it never fails that there's like one element that I've missed aligning to. So it's great if you step away from your align map or you're doing it over time because it tells you where to pick up, but it also points out like, hey, you missed this one. So on this sample map I'm showing you, this shows you that I did not align the element called term. So the great thing about this report, there's a good and a bad. The good is I can jump right in, hit the align button, and here it is. This left-hand side is showing you my K-12 sample map. The right-hand side shows you how you can align to CEDS. There's my definition. I have option sets. And so then I can quickly come in here and start searching and see, okay, how should I align this element, right? So the term a student takes a course. And search there. What it won't do though, I'm going to close out just to show you all. If I click align, and let's say I align it to, we'll go with course section. My keyboard will work for me. It's not. Okay, there we go. Maybe. And then I hit, oops, course section. Filter. And so I might align to, I was looking for we'll just do course section entry type. I click this, I look at this, and I decide, I think everyone's familiar with how to actually do align. We'll say this, submit, What won't happen if I had a list of a bunch of elements that still needed to align, if I hit, if I were to hit next, it will not take me to that element. So let's do add new element. Oops. All right, click into align. Go to the top. So this just is showing you, again, the term that I've showed you. You can align to it. And I'm going to jump in and go ahead and do that. Thought I did that. So we'll just do, let's see. We'll just align to course section identifier. It's related. Submit. And it should be aligning. So there might be a little bit of a technical difficulty right now with align, but this should no longer show up since I have aligned to this report. So that is elements with unfinished alignment. So if you are following along with me, you can go up to the options and you can refresh. So maybe that's what I need to do. Oh, and that is exactly what I needed to do. So there, it did finally align to for me. So then I'm going to go to the second option here, select new report. And I'm going to skip over user-defined elements for now, and I want us to select validate consistency. Okay. So go ahead and select it if you're following along with me. There's a chance what you see, if you're doing this with your own map, there might be nothing displayed. Mine is set up to show you kind of two different scenarios for validate consistency. I want to point out though, if you're looking at a map and you're going, oh my gosh, I have things called out for validate consistency. What's wrong with my map? It does not mean there's anything wrong with your map. There's a chance that this is just bringing to your attention that you might have the same element 5 different places within your system. And it's just checking to make sure you've aligned that element in the same way. A lot of times we might have states reach out and they go, my validate consistency is off. And we go, well, how many people were in your map doing the alignment? Oh, we had 4 people, we assigned them to different sections. Okay, well, it's kind of biased based on what their interpretation of their state's element aligned to CEDS. So this is just a really good way to see how elements were aligned and if you aligned them consistently. So I'm going to do student first name to show you an example of what I mean here. So you can see the path. It's K-12 student information, student first name. Same thing here. Okay, here's the alignment. I said that it aligned, it was identical in intent with wording differences. And then someone else said it was similar intent with wording differences. Both say no option. So this is showing you, okay, wait a second. If do we mean student first name? If so, why did we say, you know, that the alignment was 2 different ways? So this allows you to either go, okay, that's right, or wait a second, I need to go fix this. So you can click here, and here it's going to show you what I have in my map. Student first name, the first name of the student. And I said it's similar intent with wording differences from the CEDS. Definition, and then here, the first name of the student. So I would, if this was my map, I would want to go in here and fix and change. You'd go down here and you can edit. And I would say identical intent with wording differences. And then scroll and update. And I always hit update again because be extra careful. And then if you do navigate up here and hit next, it will take you to the next element in your map. It's not going to take you to the next element that maybe was identified as having a consistency issue. So that's an example of first name. I'll show you this example of reading. Again, this shows you, this is actually going in 2 different places, K-12 assessment reading and then K-12 assessments reading. Just to show you an example, like one typo can throw off your align map too. But again, here's the same example. These were it came up because they were not consistent. And then just to show you an example, it's not common for you to see that the same element ID was used, but for this purpose we did. And this is just to show you that if you were to overlap element IDs, this report will flag this for you.
Jackie, we have a question in the chat from June.
Oh.
The first question was, are there printed instructions? And then go on to say, their sample map is set up, but how do you start the align process in the new map?
Oh, great question, June. So you just want to make a whole new map? Is that your question?
Can I just unmute myself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, please. This is supposed to be very informal. So please.
Well, why I set up a new map because I don't have any at all while you were kind of modeling that, but somehow I missed. I mean, I've been following along with what you doing, but I don't have any elements in there mapped to anything, so none of it's making any sense to me yet.
Okay, so hold on, let me jump to align and manage maps. So you took a map that you had and copied it?
No, I didn't have anything in there, so I just set up a testing one. So I have a new map that has nothing in it.
Okay.
So I can view my map. So there's a map there.
Right, you're on this page.
Yes. I'm at the bottom. Okay, so where do I need to be? I can view my map. There's nothing in it. How do I start getting things in it?
So, yeah, I was gonna say, I can add you to the map that I'm doing right now so you can see. It's gonna be hard because if you go to align elements, you shouldn't have anything here because you don't have any elements in your map.
That's correct.
Yeah, so the step that's like the misstep there is where you go to upload your data dictionary. And that's this Excel template right here.
Okay.
And this is where, and I'll pull it up to show you, this is where, this is like that first step to aligning is getting everything in your spreadsheet. So should be popping up here. So this shows you the instructions of what to put in your map. So you can do system name of record and how to enter it. And then the metadata is where you're going to throw, your element names. You don't have, not all of these fields are required, but you definitely need to have your element name in order to align, and likely definitions.
Okay,
too.
Got it. Thank you.
So yeah, great question. Okay, so June, if you drop your email in the chat, I can, or Dylan can add you to a map if you want to be able to run these reports. So just drop it in the chat if you want to, we can get you into a map.
We have an older map in Oklahoma that is many, 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 many years old.
Okay.
So I have something that I can look at. We're going to completely different versions and completely need to redo that. So, okay. Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt yours.
No, don't be sorry. This is great. That's why we're here. Okay, and when do you want to be added to a map as well? Yes. Dylan, if you don't mind doing that, that would be great. You can add June and Wendy to this K-12 sample map. So you all can play around after the webinar too, if you'd like. So I'm going to keep plugging along here. So I'm going to go back to my sample map and go down to using the map and view reports. So we've talked about the elements with unfinished alignment, right? This is a great report to grab if you step away from your align map, it's taking you a long time to do. Great starting point to go, okay, this is where I've left off, or at the end, oh gosh, this is where I missed things. I need to go back and align. We've talked about the validate consistency, which just flags anytime an element, maybe you didn't align it consistently across. Doesn't always mean it's wrong, just calling it to your attention. And now we're going to talk about our user defined elements. So I'm going to select this and we're going to have time at the end. So So those of you who are just getting into a map, I'm happy to we can stay on at the end too and kind of play around, or you can ask questions because I know it's hard if you don't have a map to be in. So I've clicked the report for user defined elements, and this is showing you element names, race and drug, the definition. Again, these are showing you not what's inside CEDS, what's inside my K-12 sample map right here. And this means that when I was doing my alignment, I said, this element is not, I can't find it anywhere in CEDS. It's what we call the user defined element. I know there's several states on here. You all will run into this problem a lot. Hopefully not too much, but if you do, we have a solution for you. But just, I'm going to jump in here to show you. So they said they couldn't find race, which we know that does exist in CEDS, but as an example today, work with me here. We're going to say that this K-12 map, the race of a student, they said that it was not found in CEDS, and they have their codes. Same with the element called drug. They have a definition, they have some options, and they're going, okay, we couldn't find it anywhere inside CEDS. So what you can do is go up to options, and you can download this report. So if you're doing this, go ahead and select download report, and it tells you to please be patient because sometimes CEDS is a little bit slower than other websites. And then you want to grab your spreadsheet that downloaded, and it should look something like this. There's my map name, the K-12 sample. There's my element, and it's going to list my element for every option. So my element's name was drug. There's the definition, and there's 4 options, and same with race. And then they gave the definitions. The reason you want to do this is so that you can jump into our open source community. So Dylan's going to drop a link to our Gitbook and to the open source community to kind of show you your next step in the alignment process. I'll pause for a second because I think I'm trying to monitor the chat too, that people are getting into a map. Just know, Tammy and Wendy and June, that you guys are all on the same map. So someone might do something and you might not get to see all the examples, but I can jump back in and add more so everyone can kind of play around. So, okay, so if you were doing this and I'm the K-12 sample, I'm going, okay, there's these 2 elements that I can't find anywhere in CEDS. So I open up my report, and then I'm going to jump into the open source community, which I'm going to backtrack to show you the landing page for the open source community, which you might hear a lot of people say the OSC. So here's our CEDS open source community. We have several different repositories. We're talking about elements, so you want to be in the element repository. So if I go here, I'm going to go up to the top and select issues. And you don't have to do this, but I just want to show you on the screen briefly that this is our open source community. This is where states and other organizations come in and they go, hey, you don't have this, we need this. Here's why. And they tell us what they need. So this is Deborah. I know if she was on here, she'd be fine if I picked on her. She's from Mississippi, and we work closely with Mississippi. She added this one last week after a conversation we had. And this is called licensure distinction. She wants that added to the element called credential type. So credential type is an element inside CEDS. It has an option set, and she's saying she needs licensure distinction added to that. She goes on to tell exactly why they need it. And then she gives a background of like the certificate levels they have in Mississippi and how it's attached to teacher licensure. And after she talked with us, she was like, I can't find it anywhere. And she tells us exactly too where she'd like for it to, I always say live, or where the element should be inside our domain entity schema. So what happens now is I'll work with Deborah for her to write a proposal saying it's a formal proposal, it's a Word doc that you fill out. Dylan dropped the instructions for that, but it's a pretty simple process. And you can make it go as quickly or slowly as you like. So if there's 3 elements in Kansas that you need to add right away, then you can submit the issues and immediately write the proposals, and we can work with you to get 3 states to back your issue and get it moved forward and added into CDS. So I'm going to go back for a second just to kind of show you. I think I hear from a lot of states that aren't familiar with the open source community. They go, wow, this is really neat. It's actually really fun to like explore and see, you know, topics that or elements we have in our state that CDS doesn't have, and seeing if other states have already submitted it. So it is kind of fun to explore the open source community. But if you were doing your align map and you run that report called the user defined elements, you wanted to actually download the report like I did, and I go, okay, this is perfect. 2 elements I need. So I need to submit 2 issues to the open source community for drug and race. Close it from my other screen here. You would go to new issue. It's not a bug, right? I need element, or I'm asking you to change a definition, or I need more options added. I'm going to go to get started. And then here's where you just quickly throw in the title. Add new element called race. And then you have authors, organization, you throw your email address in, and you just tell me what it is. And that's where the beauty of this report comes in, because you can just, you don't have to retype it. Just take it, copy and paste it, plug it into your use case description, right? I need the element name race. Here's the definition I want. These are the option sets. And any other information. This is where we use it. Here's our handbook for the state of Mississippi, Department of Education, and how we define it. And then you would hit submit your issue, and then it would pop up on this screen here. And we would work with you to get that proposal written, or support you through. You write the proposal, and we help to make sure other states are aware of your proposal and to help support it through. So I'm going to pause for a second because I just gave you a lot of information at one time. So any questions or comments regarding the open source community or any of the reports we've looked at so far? Okay. Not seeing any come in. Is there anyone that's totally lost or wants me to go back and do another re-show steps to run a report? One more report to show you all. Okay, well, if you decide, don't be afraid to speak up. I'm happy to go back. So I'm going to jump back to CDS and go back to Align. I'll walk us through those steps. I'm going to grab my map again. I'm going to go to View Reports. So we've done elements with unfinished alignment, the user defined, validate consistency, and then we have one called map data formatted for upload. This is not working. I ran through this with Dylan earlier this week. I was like, so this feature isn't working. We have a developer that's going to be working on fixing this. But I do have the sample already ready to show you all. So the reason you would use the map data formatted for upload, it's a way that you can make edits to elements and it's already in the format you need. So it's just ready to make changes. So for instance, I believe it's Kansas, that they make a new version of the map yearly, but sometimes they have to make changes, especially if there's changes within their data system. So they can just copy the map along with the alignment and download it here. So it's a map formatted for upload. So they can download it, and I'll pull that up to show you all. I would download my K-12 sample map, make any changes. Like for example, maybe I submitted race to the open source community and now there is an element, so I could remove the X and re-upload, and then I'd be ready to align. So this is what you would see. This is all the information about your map, and then over here you see stuff about CDS. So here's our entity, the category, and the elements you aligned to inside CDS. So like for Kansas, the example I used, it's really easy for them. They don't have to re-upload an aligned map every year and go through all the work and fill out the spreadsheet. They can just copy it, make the few little minor changes they might need to make, and re-upload, and they're ready to go. Okay. And the last one I'll show you just for fun is sync map to the current CEDS version. If you're not aware, CEDS releases a new version every year. We just about a month ago released version 12. And so like Kansas, for example, I'm going to continue to pick on Kansas. If I were to grab one of their maps and sync it, they might have elements that are flagged here. I'm seeing a flag, again, kind of like validate consistency. Doesn't mean anything's wrong. It's just kind of calling to your attention, hey, you mapped to student identification system, there's the element, and we want to tell you that there is an update in version 12. And it even goes to tell you what that update or modification was. It doesn't mean I need to fix anything. It's just more like making you aware of what that is. I'm thinking of an example. We worked with Vermont, and this went back to like discipline, and we had the option of like just bullying. And we worked with Vermont. They needed to add more specific examples of bullying, and we worked those in. And so that would show up on their line map, and they would jump into that element and realign some of their options to the CEDS option set, because we added what they've always needed. So this is just a neat, quick report to run, and you can click here, and this shows you the actual element inside CEDS. So then you see that flag, that pink flag, it was updated. As it said, we added a new addition to the option set. And then if you needed to, you could jump in here and align as needed. So any questions or comments from the group? Anybody want me to go back and run through another report? Okay. Well, this is the conclusion of the Align 201. We do have a Connect 201 next week. It's going to be similar to this. Encourage you to have a connection ready if you want. If not, I can add you to a connection like we kind of did here today. But that, again, I don't foresee these being more of like a 45-minute webinar, just to kind of show you, make you aware of what we have to offer in CEDS that you might not know, that might save you and your organization time. So our email address, Dylan, can you, or I can drop it in the chat, is ceds@ed.gov.
Mm-hmm.
Email us if you have any questions. And thanks, Dylan. Appreciate y'all being here today. And if I'm happy to hang on till 2 o'clock if anyone wants me to run through anything else. Informally, I'm happy to do that too. But thank y'all so much for coming. And I hope you walk away with 1 or 2 reports that you go, oh, this is definitely going to save us time. So thank you all so much, and have a great Thursday afternoon.
I also dropped the link for all upcoming CEDS events that'll be coming up in the future.
Thank you, Dylan.
If anyone's interested.
Yes. Thanks, Dylan. Totally forgot about our calendar events. Thanks, Tammy.